Welcome to TGE, the podcast. Today on the show, we're going to be talking about Mulholland Drive, one of my favorite movies. I'm here with my friend Tyler. Tyler, how are you?
I'm doing good, Sven, and it's a movie that was recommended by a listener on the YouTube comments. I believe you prompted the podcast on the comments.
Yeah, I also did a couple of polls to ask what should we do next, and it always won the poll. So people must really like us talking about it.
Awesome. Well, we love being able to look into stuff that those of you that so kindly listen to this podcast recommend to us. So we appreciate the listens. We appreciate you letting your friends know about it. I'm very curious if anyone tried saying, hey, Siri, subscribe to this podcast, that owns an iPhone and listens to the podcast. Very curious about that. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Do you really appreciate the listeners and the
of course I
recommendations?
Oh, is this that podcast now? Or what is this podcast, Sven? I've been here for a while. What is it?
It's a podcast about movies. We're looking at iconic scenes, and we're looking at them as we are talking. And you can watch along. Usually we have a link in the description of the podcast to a YouTube video that is widely available, and we'll tell you when we start it up, and we're looking at the specifics of iconic filmmaking to really have an opportunity to maybe look at films that we haven't seen in a while and look at specifics. We don't just want to meander on broad ideas. We want to look at something that's tangible and that we can use for our own storytelling.
Awesome. And as I'm sitting here, I'm realizing that I'm trash, Sven. I'm complete trash. Do you want to know why?
No, why? Yes, I do. Why?
Because I saw this amazing documentary this week and wanted to talk about it for a minute, because we talked about the Fyre Fest doc last week. Obviously, I've seen a lot of documentaries this year. 2 Fyre Festival ones, as you can learn from the last podcast, which we should talk about the reaction to that a little bit. But I saw this documentary, and I figured it was nominated, although I guess I kind of knew in the back of my mind that it wasn't. I just looked at the documentary nominees this year. I haven't seen one of them, and I've heard nothing but good things about all of them. So what excuse do I have, Sven? Trash.
0. Well, you told me I need to watch that film as well, so I'm going to see it tomorrow.
Oh, really? Oh, very cool. So there's a new game we play in this podcast called Who Can Pressure Sven the Strongest? So there's a lot of pressure from the listeners for him to see Bohemian Rhapsody and from myself, but I jumped in line. I cut ahead. I saw the movie They Shall Not Grow Old this week and said, Sven, you absolutely have to see this in 3D so we can dedicate an episode to it. Because for those of you that know what it is, it's Peter Jackson's World War I documentary. I'm not going to get deeply into it now. We'll wait for Sven to see it. He has plans to see it, which is very exciting. But he essentially took this 100-year-old World War I footage and restored it, colorized it, added sound to it, figured out what people were saying and added dialogue to it. So basically it's a great example of how much happens in post. I mean, it's an example of so many things. But for those of you that are editors, it's a great example. It's a movie very much worth seeing, because you can see really how much you can authentically add to just a silent moving image in the post-production. So it's pretty incredible. And if you get to see it, he does a 30-minute presentation at the end, he being Peter Jackson, of what went into the restoration of this film and how they did it and how they used the available technology they had to accomplish it. And it's really, really, really mind-blowing. And I got to see it in 3D at the ArcLight Cinerama Dome, and it's an experience. And I'm very excited to talk to Sven about the way that it was put together and the choices that were made within it. And until that point, I will hold off. But check it out if you can, because They Shall Not Grow Old next week.
Well, thank you for pointing it out. You sent me a link of the trailer. I watched it within 10 seconds. I was hooked, because they're sort of transforming that footage in the first beat, and it really sets up the premise of this.
Yeah, and one thing to add to that is I just seen the trailer a couple of times. It's like, all right, the same footage we've all seen 100 times in color, like yip-de-doo. Then I saw the trailer in a movie theater, and it blew my mind completely. There was something so different about seeing it on the big screen that really made me understand the depth of went into this. It was just mind-blowing, just the trailer. So It was very cool to get to check it out. And it's one of those few examples where 3D is actually adds a tremendous level to the experience of the film.
Nice. Well, I want to also bring something up, which is that a great YouTube channel that you probably know about called Lessons from the Screenplay just released a video on the film Searching. And if you don't know, I made a video on Searching a couple of months ago about the editing. They're just focused on the screenplay, and they actually had the directors that they interviewed, and I think they're also starting a podcast where you can listen to the entire interview, but they use that as a foundation to just talk about how the script was formatted with the challenge of doing a screen live movie. So everything told through computer screens. How do you actually tell that within a script? All those lines and everything that you see, and it's really cool and a great additional piece to dig in if you are already fascinated by the film Searching, which I think is one of the films that is sort of flying under the radar but is doing great things for 2018.
So reactions to the Fire Festival documentary, should we get into that?
Yeah, did you get any?
I
did.
It seems like people prefer the Netflix one for a lot. But another one, someone said the Internet Historian did it better. And I was like, oh, someone did a better comparison than us. And then realized the Internet Historian video is just basically another 20-minute documentary about Fire Festival that was made 2 years ago in a very clever, colorful way. So it's fun that there's a third source. And, YouTube did it. YouTube won. And a couple things I meant to point out about the differences between the films that I forgot to last time. One of them is the way that music is used in the Hulu one. I felt added to a lot of those traits that I was saying, made it less impactful for me. It was just kind of very obvious and very by the numbers. And then there was one other thing that I texted you and totally forgot.
Oh, you're going through your text?
Okay. So, yeah, sorry. So the music, and then also there were a lot of moments that were used in the same way. Like, for example, the way that the toast was explained in the Netflix one was great because it just gave it that great piece of sleazebag toast that they do. Just gave it a lot of context, whereas that's a good example of two direct comparisons where you can kind of see Hulu just going through the motions. And I would argue same for when they're trying to get off the island and they're trapped in the airport.
Good stuff. Well, we did only sort of broadly talk about those two documentaries. That's going to change today. We're going to look at a specific scene. Are we ready to segue into Mulholland Drive, or did you have anything else? So, Mulholland Drive, for me personally, is a groundbreaking film, and I haven't seen it since way back then when it came out. How about you?
I saw it way back during its hype and its height, which was kind of a different era. Movies could still be mythological back then. It was pre-Twitter, it just kind of still occupies this space, even now that it's survived, which I would say Lynch is the master of, because Twin Peaks: The Return is similar in that way. It still occupies that same space, even in spite of the existence of social media, so forth and so on. But it's made by an AFI, a fellow alum, right, Sven?
That's true. And it feels like watching it now kind of like a goodbye film of an era that sort of completely disappeared of films. It feels to me like, way back then in the 90s, well, it was 2001 when it came out. They still made movies. They didn't have so many DC, Marvel films and so many just digital computer effects. They were still using film as film, and it's just the story itself is so engaging and so rich and so mysterious and fully unexplainable what's happening, but completely fascinating.
It's interesting how things have changed, and I would say it's interesting how there used to be a lot. I mean, a David Lynch movie was always, no matter when or what, going to be its own unique thing. But there used to just be so many better movies getting made. It's kind of amazing now that so much resources are going towards so few films, although way more films are being made.
Yeah.
Just how it's harder to have that $10 to $30 million drama that's just incredible that comes out. And there's so many movies probably made in 2001, you could probably pick the 10 fifth best movies, and those would easily be the 10 best picture nominees this year.
Yeah.
It's kind of what it feels like.
Well, I think partially it's because films now, at least at the high level, have become so predictable. And I mean, I don't want to be the guy that says, oh, back then things were better. But watching Mulholland Drive today, I'm still I have no sense of what might happen next, because it's so exciting and unpredictable. Like, and I mean, this is the kind of film where I think the filmmaker doesn't even know. I think, I mean, David Lynch says this film makes complete 100% sense. Everything is there, and there's a reason for it. But I know that none of the actors openly ever said that they understand what the film is and how to explain the scenes and the storytelling in there. I know that I saw somewhere that Naomi Watts pretended that she knew while they were shooting to tease David Lynch about it, but she also reports that she didn't get under his skin. And he's just completely 100% confident about it. And he loves that critics are interpreting this film and make assumptions of what this is, and he will not reveal what it really means. But it's quite clear that they're probably all off.
Well, yeah, that's funny. And I've talked to enough actors in David Lynch's films, including this one, who I will not reveal, but I don't think there's a lot of knowing what's going on in the filming, especially when you get into stuff like Twin Peaks: The Return, where it's just shrouded in mystery. Although I don't know why it was such a secretive shoot. They could have just revealed everything that was going on, and the mystery would still exist quite wholly for that one. But I think that in terms of filmmakers, the way to interpret this whole thing, it isn't so much that... I think the thing that you don't want to overlook with Lynch is I feel like talking about his movies is like standing in front of an abstract painting and talking about, why do you think the eyes are here?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, just experience it.
Yep.
Don't over-articulate it. But I think the thing with his films, the thing to take away from a filmmaker is, in terms of a creative process, there's a tremendous amount of discovery that he sets himself up for on the set.
Yes.
And he's deeply engaged with that, and a lot of the creativity and statement is just coming through those discoveries. So they're not necessarily things that have been articulated and run through a crew. They just happen, and then that has meaning, and that has logic, and that has purpose,
yes,
let's say. But in terms of this idea, this mythological idea that there's going to be some answer at the end of the tunnel, good luck with that. Let me know if you find the one thing that, like it's 7 or something like that, that's going to unravel the secret of his work. I think you might be looking at them wrong if you're looking for that. And yet his work has gotten so much attention and such longevity and such a life out of that type of stuff that I shouldn't take away from it, because it's very fun. And I try to coordinate things in my mind more than anybody. We're editors, right, Sven?
Mm-hmm. I truly believe that you find the film in the footage, or you find the film in the process of making the film. And I experience that with my own editing. I don't even try. I just let the footage speak to me. Something is happening and I go off and I pursue that. And we talked about this prior, that Stephen King is reporting about that same phenomena when he writes, that it's like he's almost like a guy who's going after dinosaur bones, and he's just uncovering them with a little brush, and he starts to to discover what this might be. And I think David Lynch recognized that clearly, and he fully embraces it. And I mean, he's into meditation and getting inspired by just letting things happen, and he doesn't stress about it. He doesn't think about it too hard in terms of strategically planning a story and setting up character arcs to pay them off down the road. If it pays off, great. If it doesn't matter anyway. It's raising questions. What he is such a master of, I think, is that he just creates scenes that are just intriguing. You always want to be like trying to figure things out and trying to just experience the moments that are happening on screen. And I just love that. And I mean, there are tons of filmmakers that don't know what they're doing, or they're just sort of finding it in the moment, improvising it, and completely failing at it. And I think David Lynch is one that is like on the other side of that perfection of just like in the moment putting it all together. And it just worked with Mulholland Drive because of, I think, how this film came together. And maybe we should talk a little bit about sort of the origin story of Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, and just one other thing I want to point out real quick, something that's fun to look at with a filmmaker like David Lynch, is the difference between filmmakers that are held accountable and then not held accountable.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting to look at his work when there's sort of constraints that he's bucking against and fighting within
Yeah.
to make certain films. You see the earlier films, you see Twin Peaks. Mulholland Drive is a great example because at one point it was supposed to be a pilot and it wasn't, so then it had to become a feature. And then when he has a complete autonomy with, I'll say, Inland Empire or Twin Peaks The Return, it's pretty amazing where it's like, oh, you would have just gone there this whole time. And so it's kind of fun to, especially with something like filmmaking, with the the art and commerce side of it, it's fun to look at and think about. And the other thing I'll point out about Mulholland Drive that's fun is the way that people discover it. It has such like a cherished sense of discovery.
Yeah.
And we've been cognizant watching films, at the time Mulholland Drive came out until now. So and people were discovering it then the same way that, young filmmakers and people are just coming out of the woodwork now, like, oh, I just saw Mulholland Drive, and like it's redefining their existences. And that's always cool to see that it's the same thing to find it and watch it now as it was back then. It's almost like the reputation of it is nothing compared to the experience of it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you see it today for the first time, I'm pretty sure you're going to have the same experience as if you would have seen it way back then. I mean, short of the sadness that I feel in terms of all those times have gone.
Well, also realizing with hindsight what a commentary on Hollywood it is too.
Sure.
A little more Hollywood experience has certainly come up in our lives since then. It's like, oh, you were saying that. Gotcha. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Mulholland Drive is a 2001 neo-noir mystery film written and directed by David Lynch, starring Naomi Watts, Laura Herrings, and Justin Theroux. It tells the story of an aspiring actress named Betty Elms, newly arrived in L.A., who meets and befriends an amnesiac woman recovering from a car accident. The story follows several other vignettes and characters, including a Hollywood film director. Originally conceived as a television pilot, a large portion of the film was shot in '99 with Lynch's plan to keep it open-ended for a potential series. After viewing Lynch's cut, however, television executives rejected it. I saw somewhere that there were 300 tapes, like VHS tapes, floating around of a really bad version of this pilot, and he still today feels embarrassed about it. I'd love to see that. Lynch then provided an ending to the project, making it a feature film. The half-pilot, half-feature result, along with Lynch's characteristic style, has left the general meaning of the film's events open to interpretation. Lynch has declined to offer any explanation of his intentions, leaving audiences, critics, and cast members to speculate on what transpires. He gave the film the tagline, "A Love Story in the City of Dreams." Just real quick, it won at Cannes Film Festival 2001 Best Directing Award, and it was nominated for Best Director Academy Award. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to say, if you have not seen Mulholland Drive, you should stop the podcast now before we get into the scene. You should watch it and then come back, because I don't want to take away that experience that you're going to have when you see it for the very first time. So do it. Yeah.
And also, we would like to have the first This Guy Edits podcast viewing parties. We'd like to hear about them. How do they go? Let us know.
Nice. So I picked the casting scene for the analysis portion of this podcast. Are you okay with that? Do you think that's a good representation of the film? Do you have any...
What would we do if I said no? I mean, any scene's a great representation. You know what I mean?
Well, there's some scenes
There's so
where
many
you
scenes
could...
I remember like distinctly, and then looking back at it, I'm like, well, I really only remember... Oh, wait, no, what about that whole vivid memory I have? Right, those are the same movie. I mean, it's just kind of like an amazing experience. But this is a great one because there's something I want to say about a major Lynch thing, which is performances, which we'll talk about.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that there are obviously these vignettes that you could pick which don't really relate to what I think is kind of the main storyline for 75% of the film. And this one is like right in the main storyline. So I thought that'd be a nice pick for that you get sort of a feel of what's going on. So
it's a great popular scene.
Yeah. With no further...
And it's only 6 minutes long.
Yeah. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's a little long, but I think it'll be fine. We'll play a lot of sound ups because there's not a lot of editing going on. I think it's a perfectly edited film. I think it's a perfectly shot film. No doubt about it. But it's a very... the acting is what makes this scene so amazing as well. So, we're in a casting office. I'm going to start this scene in 3, 2.
Voila. Betty Elms, I would like you to meet Jack Tutman, my assistant. Woody Katz, who we have cast in the part of Chuck and will do the scene with you.
Naomi Watts is being led into a room full of people, and the producer is introducing everybody. And this is kind of a casting situation that doesn't feel real at all. Like, this is not any casting session that I've sat in. This is like the dream. You would be welcomed as a new arriving actress in LA, and everybody's there to give you that moment to do the scene.
But it's also the worst situation also.
Because it's so many people.
Sort of uncoordinated and formal and...
Yeah.
Hi. So, shall we give it a go? Would you like a water or a coffee before we begin?
No, I'm fine.
And she's definitely vulnerable here, like the way that she's being touched, and like the actor is like pulling her in a moment.
Betty, why don't you join Woody over there and we'll play the scene? Bob, do you have anything you wish to say?
I love this director. Gives her a direction that like makes zero sense to her.
It's not a contest. The two of them. With themselves. So don't play it for real until it gets real.
So it's Lynch, basically.
And nice reaction shots. Everybody's like just utterly confused. But she is in good spirits. She wants to do good.
What?
Hey, Bobby, I want to play this one nice and close, like we did with that other girl. What's her name? The one with the black hair.
And she has this somewhat gross actor, I feel like he's overly tanned, older, and he's very possessive.
Yeah, he's Les Mooms, basically.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's one thing, but then it'll turn out that it's a different thing.
Yeah, there's some insights here about how acting works.
Like that, and then I'll put you in jail. They all say it the same way, so when they say it, I just react. What's your name?
Betty.
Yeah, Betty. Look, you don't rush it. I don't rush it, okay? Now, we're going to play this nice and close.
And we're in this two-shot, and we're going to be in this two-shot for a while. And he just pulls her really close where it feels kind of inappropriate.
Bob?
Yeah, it feels like Rosemary's Baby. Like she's just been brought into this thing, and then who knows what's going to happen.
Action.
The director basically is incompetent or checked out, is what that reads to me. Like he's always not looking when we cut to him, and then he looks up.
Thought that's what you wanted.
Nobody wants you here.
Really?
My parents are right upstairs. They think you've left.
So surprised.
I can call them.
Because we've seen this scene before, we think that, it's just something that it shouldn't be, but it actually turns out she's in total control. And
Absolutely.
exactly
and there's a defining moment right here, that close-up insert of her hand taking his hand and just like making him grab her ass. Sorry. Which really shows to us
You're playing a dangerous game here.
she is actually an amazing actress right now, and we're going to figure it out right now. We're going to just experience that.
You know what I want.
yeah,
Taking control.
It's not that difficult.
exactly. It's showing she's in control of this. And then all of it is
Get out.
it's just done very professionally. It's intimate, but it's professional. Like the kissing and everything.
Yeah.
He trusts you. You're his best friend.
At this point, I'm like wondering, oh, this is too much for an audition. Like, these are actors that haven't worked with each other.
What about you? What do your dad think about you?
And it's completely stepping over what would you be doing during an audition unless you've really come to an agreement beforehand.
If I tell them what happened, they'll arrest you and put you in jail.
But I think that's the point here, is that she is like so confident about making this happen.
Mm-hmm. But there's also a weird thing where is this just what he was saying before, which is it's just about reacting.
Yep.
And it was very different rehearsing with the roommate, but now with him, it's just, you get the right actor in there and there's just this natural spark and it'll work.
Yeah, and then finally she then forces the kiss by putting her arm around his neck and pulling him in.
And she's supposed to be holding a knife also, right?
Oh yeah, very true. So he might not even see the knife right now. And he thinks this is supposed to be like the dad's best friend that stayed behind while dad went off to work, and he's now taking advantage of the daughter.
Well, then they put you in jail.
And she's defending herself.
Right. And it's funny how overlooked the guy is in this scene too, because he does a really incredible job.
Yeah. And then we're cutting back out to the two shot.
I hate you. I hate us both.
Which is interesting, and it might be tear streak related. I know Sven likes to judge those tears.
Those tears weren't there in the other closer one, I think. So that's why maybe we had to cut out for a second. He found the perfect take, but there were no tears.
I'm going to take her over there.
Yeah, big time.
And then the scene is over, and everybody's like blown away. And something that was very stiff at the beginning, and a scene that she's playing that we thought is quite cheesy, because as you mentioned, she is practicing that scene with with the other girl. I don't want to say a roommate, but the one that sort of inhabited her space. And they kind of make fun of how badly written that scene is, and it actually turned out to be amazing in the audition.
Right.
Which kind of hints
well.
at the fact that great actors can make bad lines sound amazing, which is totally true. It helps to have a great
bring
script.
it to life.
But
well, bad actors can ruin good stuff too.
Absolutely.
And really good actors, incredible actors, can make good stuff seem like really bad stuff and then come back and do it as if it's really good stuff while creating this performance that you think is the most incredibly shallow, shitty actress you've ever seen in film, and then suddenly snap into this gear is pretty incredible. And there's like a few examples I feel like I've seen of this, but this was just such perfect casting, and so subversive in the way that Lynch approached it. And of course, like, being subversive is like the one thing you can kind of comment on with his work, which is like, look, we know that there's an expectation that you're playing into here that you're then twisting. And I mean, we could talk about Twin Peaks: The Return for like a month on this podcast, but not many people saw it, and I'm sure Sven didn't. There, just so much of what he does is dependent on the way you're interpreting it. So this whole thing is set up where you're interpreting that Naomi Watts is just this, it's kind of like a hilariously mediocre actress that he got because she's unknown at the time for this film. And then it's like, wait, what? And that is the one thing about Lynch, not the one thing, but a reason that you know. I mean, there's plenty of examples of his career that there is like intention and craft and incredible amount of talent and an unfathomable understanding of the craft of film that's being implemented in his filmmaking, and the performances that he gets out of some actors, be it Naomi Watts in this. I mean, so many people in so many of his films, Kyle MacLachlan in Twin Peaks: The Return. It shows an amazing, deliberate filmmaker to be able to pull this kind of thing and capture the performances in this way, and then get performances even in the original Twin Peaks in network television format that are just mind-boggling.
Well, but Naomi Watts clearly shows off that she is a star here, and I'm pretty sure this was the first big film that she made. I looked at her IMDb. She had a couple of shorts prior to that.
100% was, and that's most of what the impact of it was that she was so unknown and so clearly a movie star, like undeniably, which is a rare thing to come across. Usually it's, like Tom Cruise running around in the background in Taps, and you kind of discover him. This was just all in. I found a star. I'm going to prove it to you. Yeah. And it wasn't like it just worked for this. Like, she's, clearly a phenomenal actress in so many things. And that's the fun thing about people rediscovering this, is it still has the impact, even though they know who Naomi Watts is and may very well be going into it because they've formed a kinship with her through her other work. Yeah.
I can tell from some of the previous shorts that she's done, or I remember seeing like a scene with a video camera where she was driving, and just like really a desperate actress. She must have been in LA for a while and just had no bites whatsoever. And I think she put all that into this part and just made this. She herself says that actually the Betty part here, that she thought it was kind of too one-dimensional, and that she was happy that they canceled the pilot, and then Lynch added sort of the darker side to this character, which is the Diane character, to it, so that she has even more to do and show some.
I'll just make you a new character. Sure.
But anyway, those are all spoilers. I want to go back to the beginning.
Well, one thing I just want to add real quick to what you're saying about the performances is it's funny because in this film, like just keep in mind the guy in that scene also, it's as equally incredible a performance, but just something about the nature of this film that's just making these things so, like, he just literally appears in this scene and then vanishes, and yet the work that he's doing is just as incredible as hers.
Which is very. I mean, that's the thing about Mulholland Drive. You have Robert Foster in one scene, I'm pretty sure, only in there.
Right.
And
then Justin Theroux doing his incredible performance.
Yeah. His character is set up as if he's going to be in this film forever. Like, he's going to be investigating this crime story that's going on. We never see him again. And
right.
There's so many of these little things happening in the film where you're like, oh, he's setting up for something that it's going to be important, and it's not. He's just sort of making, I guess, fun of us, or he just doesn't care.
And then he comes back in Twin Peaks: The Return to replace a different actor, the sheriff. It's amazing. All right, so we're at 7 seconds?
Yeah, 7 seconds, high-angle shot of the entire room to just tell us how overwhelming this is. I mean, there's just people everywhere in that frame. She's like, this is like a Senate hearing almost. Feels to me. And what I noticed, I watched the scene without the audio, and I noticed the camera movement. Like, every shot seems to be on a Fisher 11, which is a dolly, and it's just sort of slightly moving with the actors. And it's a really nice, if you can afford to tell your stories that way, it creates this nice organic flow. It makes everything feel alive more than these locked off shots that feel like pre-designed, where actors need to hit their mark perfectly. Here it feels like the camera is really responding to how the actors sort of act in the moment. And you'll see that throughout as we go on, that even in the two shots or the close-ups, the camera is always ready to move and react if it needs to. And that's a nice luxury to have when you're shooting. Sometimes you can't afford to do that because it takes a long time to set up these shots.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my number one takeaway. We have this two shot at 11 seconds, and you saw a slight move there. He's going around the room introducing everybody. They're all kind of stiff and have these superficial grins on their face.
Yeah.
It's also,
I love the way the most typical assistant in the history of like films is introduced. Like, she's out of the shot for one moment, introduces the casting agent. It's just the assistant's just there, like the closest one to the camera, not even acknowledged. It's hilarious and creepy and disturbing.
Yeah, I find it also interesting that every assistant is introduced in this scene, and even before like the important people are introduced, like he just goes through the room, which I don't think is the etiquette that usually is happening. It goes like first the director, then the actor, then the casting director, and then probably nobody else would be introduced. The way it's lit and shot and told, it just feels not real. I mean, I don't want to say it's a dream, but I feel like it's kind of a vision of what she thinks would be the perfect way to get your start in Hollywood. Like, she's 2 days into LA, it feels like, and everybody's like welcoming her. It's a little creepy and weird that she's being touched by the producer, the actor, but I think that's by design. Oh, I saw an Emmy in the background on 108, which is an indication that we're talking about a TV show here and not a movie.
Yeah, I'm sure this is just what the casting was for Twin Peaks.
Yeah. I love 115. I already talked about. The director is not even looking at her at this point. He's like looking at a book. Could be potentially be the script.
I thought he was looking at the script.
Yeah. It's
He has
just
the
a
script
really
there in
thick
his-
script. So I was a little like, is this really the script? Seems like,
Well, they double spaced those TV scripts. I don't even know what she's up for, but
yeah.
looks legit to me. You know that they didn't have. It's not the script from Mulholland Drive. Whoa.
So yeah, we're staying in this high angle. We're not getting really fancy with the coverage to try to find a second master or so. Everybody has sort of a very defined shot, and that's the shot that it is.
Yeah. We talk about coverage. People think when I talk about getting coverage, it's just get some crappy shot to cover it. No, all your coverage, every shot should mean something and be impactful and powerful, and that's what these are.
Yeah.
You know, so they don't feel like coverage.
I want to talk about the shot at 136. That's the medium shot of the director. Again, he's looking down at the beginning at the head of the shot and then goes into this weird direction that he gives. And once he's done, we're cutting to a series of reaction shots to the producer who's not understanding the direction, to the three sitting on the couch, which are all like casting people. They look at each other like, what the hell? Then to the two shot of her, she's trying so hard to understand what he's saying, and she's keeping up a good face. And then the actor is sort of trying to comfort her here, I guess. We talk the scene itself. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. That we go from a scene that feels like awkward and she is vulnerable to no, she's really not. She's just playing it and she's taking charge. When we go to the insert shot, I think it's worth noting, insert is at 317, that probably nobody but the actor knows that she is in control at this point. So I'm sort of saying everybody's watching what's going on up top, and she is underneath sort of signaling him, I got this. Let's go. Let's tango.
Well, I thought she was just. I thought the character was doing that in the scene.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the insert, I don't like. As the actress, what I'm saying is probably nobody in the room would be noticing this. We know this as the audience, but nobody else in the room would know this because it gives us. We now understand what's going on with her character, right, or her performance.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the people in the room, it'd be hard to miss that. With they're all just sitting in a circle staring at them. And it's kind of indicated, like she holds the hand for a second and moves it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then we're going to the closer two shot, and staying in this. And this is a good example of when not to cut. And I'm facing this with a feature right now, as well as I'm cutting. Really find those shots where we can just let the actors do what they do and don't interfere with the editing. Let them just go. And so this plays for a long time. And then we talked about this cutting out to the white shot, which I think works also in terms of the storytelling. Like,
of course. Yeah, it's great. And it's just a great example of how you get that little added bonus of it breaks the tension, but then also you're able to kind of have the tears there. And we couldn't even prove that, you know.
Well, let's take a closer
The edit
look and
wasn't-
see if she's already starting to tear up before we go to the white shot. Let's see, I'm at 5:05. Still a while, I guess. 5:11. She looks him dead in the eyes. I see no tears. She looks just really, well, at 5:21,
Yeah, they're welling up.
I see, yes.
We seem like such psychos, like studying tears from like podcast to podcast.
Yeah.
But the point is that there's nothing about that moment that's made more impactful just because she has some tears on her face. I highly doubt that's why it was chosen. It's just the intensity of the performance and everything's perfect.
It might just be also a pacing issue, that it just took her maybe another 5-10 seconds to get there. And this way we got there a little faster and it just flows better.
Right. Or it was just the right time, which it feels like, to show that tension breaking, the arm being taken down. And
Yeah.
by the time you punch back in, the tears are there. It could be anything. But if you were to have a less powerful actor and you really did want wet tears running down a face, it's an example of how you can do that without giving it away.
Yeah, you definitely need the wider shot to see that she grabs his arm and pulls it away. So,
and
that's
I'll
a
go even
motivation.
further and say it's a little troubling that the tears are there. You know what I mean? It doesn't really take you out of it, obviously, but it risks taking you out of it a little more for there not to be tears and then to be them. Yeah, but it feels completely right, so all the right choices were made.
Yeah.
It's rare to find a movie that frames your performance and actually celebrates your acting so well. And I think that's something that really helped Adam Driver a lot when he
Yes.
did Girls, because he's, playing the actor and you get to actually see how good he is at acting and then how much he cares about acting and stuff like that, jumping between the things. So every once in a while you get a role like this that frames you, but I think she's done plenty of amazing.
It's really the material that gave her
Yeah,
the opportunity.
It's just so perfectly used.
Yeah, and it's just for me personally. I feel like I've never had this experience with any of her performances before, where I like just completely like fell in love with it. And she's done. I mean, she did the other movie with Benicio del Toro shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
right?
21 grams. I was going to mention that.
I mean, that's an amazing performance as well. But it just doesn't have. I don't have that personal connection with it as much.
Well, of course.
Big fan of the film, obviously. I mean, I have a personal theory how I sort of interpret these two characters, her and the girl with the black hair.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel it's actually the same person. That's my approach to watching the film. So we're seeing two sides of the same character, and once you watch it that way, there's a lot of things that suddenly, I see a clue here, I see a clue there. But I'm not gonna pretend like I know what this all means. I really feel like David Lynch just went for it, and he just trusted himself, and whatever instinct, whatever notion came up, he just followed it through, and it happened to just become this amazing, intriguing mystery of nobody knows and everybody wants to know. So.
And ironically, it ties to Psycho in that it was another movie that was almost became a TV show and then didn't, and it's just there are these two legendary films, not entirely dissimilar in genre and style, and just the fact that they at some point were going to just not exist in this form is always, I think, emboldening to filmmakers to realize, okay, you don't always know.
Yeah.
And then we really look forward to your comments and thoughts and reactions to this. We'll have a lot to respond to those next week or in the coming weeks. So thank you very much for the suggestion. Hey, if they want to make a comment, where would they go, Sven?
Oh, Tyler, they can go to thisguyedits.com/podcast, or if they want to try out our Reddit, thisguyedits.com/comment.
Awesome. So thank you for listening. Thank you for telling your friends, fellow filmmakers about the podcast. We appreciate the interaction. We appreciate the community. We depend on it. That's where this suggestion came from. Ramp up the pressure on Sven to see Bohemian Rhapsody. I feel like it's going to happen before the Oscars, but I don't know. But next week will be They Shall Not Grow Old.
I'll take a look and see if it's still in theaters, and I'll make an effort.
Thank you to Kurta for the music, and as Sven always says,
happy editing.
There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers. There's no sane zone, so put your head between the speakers.
Okay, I hope this one worked out well. It's always hard to do one where you if you really want to do well and write down a lot of stuff, and then it becomes a little, I think I covered everything, but it's sometimes when you're just in the moment, it's just like David Lynch. It's just better. I have. Yeah, that's great. I love that. Turning off the thing.